Digital ladies breaking the chain, rising in crypto, we're changing the game. Crypto frontier, we're claiming our space. Not your keys, not your crypto, know your place. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa Key, the Lady K, and Opti. Digital, come ride this wave. Digital wealth, we're here to pay.
Crypto nights, we're lighting the spark. As we ignite now, we're setting the mark.
Safety first, we're keeping it tight. Blockchain power, we're shining the light. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa Key, the Lady K, and Opti. Digital, come ride this wave.
Welcome to Digital Ladies Unscripted. How are you doing this evening, ladies?
Excellent.
Good.
Huh? I created a new little video. I was trying to get it done before the show today, and that's what I came up with. That was as good as I could do.
It was awesome. Oh
I
my
hope
goodness.
everyone
I'm
liked
so
it.
excited.
I wanted to have the disclaimer on there since we are streaming live on IMU TV to let people know that this show does not offer financial advice. So you got to do your own research and all that good jazz. Announcement, top of the show announcement. Unfortunately, we have to reschedule JennaX. Something came up that was not preventable, and we will reschedule her. So we decided to take this opportunity to talk about copyright and with all of the creators and builders that are on the blockchain. We're moving in this space at a fast pace, and thought it'd be a good idea if we kind of put our heads together and talked about that. What do you guys think?
I think that'll be great. What do you ladies think?
Let's dive in.
Let's go.
Let's dive in.
Yeah, I'm excited. Considering, since the beginning of making NFTs, this is always this was the very first question I ever asked, is what to choose. And so I have been very curious. And then just lately with the Brito NFTs and the copycats for XRP bags, ducks, these kinds of things. I think it's going to be a great conversation. I'm glad we're having it.
Oh, fantastic. Yes. So there's 29 of you in here. If you guys would please like, share, and subscribe, we would really appreciate it. Want to say hello to Hustle Hard Crypto. Who else you see in there, Keita?
We have XRP Papa, Mr. Simon Says, Susan Roblin, also Sylvie Scape. We're so happy to have you, as well as Stephanie. So thank you all for being here at the start of the show.
So the other night, I was doing a little research for myself because thanks to Opti and several other people, but of course, Optimistic Prime is always the first one to put something in front of my face and make me use it with this whole Suno thing. And through talking with Niall Cottrell from IMU TV, he has been really on me and everybody else about thinking about copyright. Just because we're in crypto and the digital asset space and it's all new and we think laws haven't been passed and all this type of thing, there are still existing laws that we need to abide by. Right. And so I signed up for the Suno. I created some songs. I got some really exciting announcements to make on the Dip a Toe front and possibly Digital Ladies Unscripted front in terms of the songs. But one of the things that Niall had pointed out was that with Suno, if you have a paid subscription, that you own those, the intellectual property rights to those. And so if you put it on YouTube or you're monetized in any way, you're okay. If you don't have a paid subscription, then you can't monetize those songs. So in any event, I started looking it up on X regarding if someone plays a copyrighted song during their space, would that be a violation and reason why the space would quote unquote rug? And what I found was absolutely yes. And so many of our good friends that play, wonderful music during the space,
Right.
it's copyrighted music. And apparently, playing copyrighted music during an X space without proper licensing or permission can indeed be a violation of X terms and policies, as well as a broader copyright law. And it could, end up to, it lead enforcement actions, possibility of the space being disrupted or rugged. Which, for those of you who don't know what rugged means, it means when your space is suddenly removed, or you get suspended for any reason, and you're like, I don't know why I got suspended. And so anyway, I thought we would talk about that a little bit, because a lot of people do it, and I didn't think it was an issue because so many people do it, right? So, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I think also, first off, hi Stone. I see you rolling up in the spot. Hello, welcome. And it's funny that you say that, because Stone doesn't use any songs on there that are copywritten. And if you notice, his face is never rug.
Not really. They really don't rug.
They don't.
And it's the end users that have trouble, like me sometimes, with my phone. And usually that ends up being like, oh, you needed to do an update to the X app and that sort of thing. So, but I do notice that the other spaces that play a lot of music, they get rugged continuously. So I think it is an issue.
I think it's a great thing to talk about, just because I don't think people realize, like, if you go into like a space with Boo, he's making his own music, right? So if he's making his own music, if you notice, I have yet to see that Boo has a space that goes down. You know what I mean? Just because he's playing music that's, either he has the right to be able to play, or he's made it himself. So he has the actual copyright. So I think that's important. What do you ladies think?
You want to go, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, my husband's always said, one of the banes of the human evolution is copyright. And that, every thought is built on other thoughts and other tones and inspiration. And so, he's always believed that actually hinders inspiration and growth. So, while I agree with it or I don't agree with it, I think that, one of the opportunities, because that's the truth, and like we had talked about this months and months ago, like with Freedom Phoenix, because he had Jungle Radio, and so he was having problems with his spaces. And I always thought how great it will be, because it's sort of like Napster days, right? Like, it's like spaces is, it'll rug you from time to time, but it's not, not completely all the time, doesn't mute you yet. It's not like YouTube, right? Like if you have a copyrighted, clip or song, like they will mute your whole video. I've heard. I have never had that happen, but I've never really had a show where, that's happening. And so I always thought it would be pretty cool, like, especially with IMU TV, where all of a sudden, if you have an agreement, like I always thought it would be amazing if we took the control out of these big corporations, and like I would be happy to pay you the penny that the radio pays you to be able to play the song in a space on X, right? I think that that's where we're headed in general, where the common person is able to utilize music and just, pay a monthly fee or something like that. Like that's sort of how TikTok has it, where they have specific songs that you can use, and if you use one that's not on the list and you haven't uploaded it, they'll mute your video. And it sucks, because even if you have like 10 minutes of talking and 2 seconds of the video, they'll mute your whole video and you can't even get your talking back. And so I think there's an opportunity where something like IMU TV could come in. You as a creator could have the rights to use all the music from there through some kind of subscription plan or something, and then it would really showcase independent music. But as it stands right now, the music that we all know is copyrighted. And of course, you have to be aware, just like, the radio stations have to pay their fees and TikTok has to pay their fees. It's got to pay the cabal.
And, and so just so and this is where when I had the Vita Broadcast Network and we were doing streaming radio, we had looked into the different requirements and licensing. And so there's several different things that you can join, that where as long as you have the subscription, then you're okay to play, that type of music. But playing music in a space or on any public venue, right? It requires a public performance license. And those are typically managed by organizations like ASCAP, BMI, SESAC in the US. And these licenses are not automatically granted to the individuals that are hosting the spaces. And so you would have to get that. And I think then note it somewhere, right? That you actually hold that license to be able to do it. Because you'll notice there'll be some channels that are on YouTube, for example, that play all like different music, right? And I believe it's because they have those licenses in place that cover their basis. And so if there is a violation, there's automated services that automatically can check that, yes, they've got this license. And so that's, I think, where the confusion comes in, particularly with creative people. You hear something, you want to use a snippet of a song, you think you're okay. And then there's all the, well, you can play 30 seconds of the song and not get dinged and all of these types of things. But if you're ever looking to monetize your brand in any way, you don't want to start off with playing those types of songs, because once you really get going, you'll have to go back through all of those videos and make sure, otherwise they'll go back and ding you for every one of them and unmonetize you or take your whole channel down type thing. And it looks like X is the same way, right? So it's one of those things. We're in the digital asset space, we're in crypto, we're learning all these cool things, all these new AI tools that are out there for us to use. And like Simon and I always say on Tip of Toe, crypto ain't for sissies, and neither is this AI and these new tools, right? So we just have to educate ourselves. And what do you think, Lady K?
It's not just music, right? It's photos, it's movies, it's books. We're talking about intellectual property, right? And it's interesting, Amanda, that you said James feels that thwarts thought, because thought is on top of thought. I think the US government actually agrees, because I do believe there's time limits to all these things. Like, I know that book publishing, if it's over 100 years old, it's no longer protected. So I think that's why. And but it does give a time limit on how long it's going to be protected for, right?
Well, if it's intellectual property, like, think about that. At 100 years, are they even alive for it to actually still be somebody's intellectual property at that point?
Not really, right? But then you see like celebrities who have estates and they sell the rights and stuff. So that could go on perpetually if there wasn't, like, say, a time limit. But there are these laws, and I'm not going to pretend I know the difference between like the copyright and the trademark and, you know what I mean, and all the intricacies of those laws. But they didn't go away just because blockchain is here and looks official, right? Like, it is, those laws still apply. Now, we could utilize blockchain to prove that it's our work, or, and maybe one day the laws will catch up with blockchain and they'll say, like, the moment it's minted, it's copyrighted to this wallet or whatever, however it ends up shaping out. But for now, we have to be, you have to know that the same laws apply, and that it is intellectual property, and that, you possibly could, whatever trouble it is, told to take down, or,
Yep. And it's one of those things where you just have to be responsible. You have to look back through, like, even with the Dip a Toe channel, making sure that that I'm looking on the back end if there's anything that's popped up that you don't know, right? Or going in there and checking the boxes that you don't have. I mean, even advertisement, like there's all kinds of rules to doing the moving in the ways that we're moving now. Protector Joseph in Nesfor says it's not 75. Joseph says 75. Nesfor says it's not 75. It's 70 years after the original composer's death. So after their death. Does anybody know? I can't think of the name of the website, and it'll probably come to me a little bit later. But I know that there's this historical website that has all kinds of old, movie clips and books and articles and all of these things that is available for, like, what do they call it? Like free commons or
Public domain. Domain.
There's a website that has that, and they're always asking, for like donations to keep it up.
Yeah. I don't remember the website. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I don't remember the name of that particular. Let me look it up. See,
I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but one thing I thought, Abdi, is particularly for truthers, right? All these folks that are covering historical documents, they can pull those up legally and cite those and everything without having a copyright issue. Because generally, if you want to get to the truth, in theory, you got to go way back, and then maybe that's dipping your toe into the truths that they were telling them back then, And somewhere between then and now, there may be some kind of truth in the middle, but yeah, it's a very interesting topic.
If I'm not mistaken, there's something called the Internet Archive.
Yes, that's it. Okay. I believe it is Internet Archive. Yeah,
and it says that it has it hosts over 40 million items in the public domain or under open licenses, all freely available for download, viewing, and reuse without copyright restrictions.
Yep. So. Any of those you want to look back in history and see, that's a great place, a great resource.
I want to give a shout out to the 185 people that are watching us right now, only 17 minutes into the show. That is a beautiful thing. Just to let you know.
Hello.
So it's interesting that you brought up the truthers, because, one of the things I've been doing is I've been putting quotes on NFTs. So one of the questions I've had, so some of them you'll notice will have, if they were given to me with who originally said them, or if they were a lyric in a song, I put the band next to it. But this was actually one of my questions, and I was just like, whatever, I'll figure this out later. But because I'm working on the new collection, I was actually thinking about it this week, and that this is a question I have in terms of, like, if it's trademarked, totally different conversation. But if it's just like an expression that, a quote, specifically a quote, for the ones that I don't know that they're made by somebody else and they're just in the common language, because all I'm doing is asking people what their favorite saying is, right? Not sure. Like if they send it to me like this person by this, I'll typically put it in the side just because like I know. But if I don't know, I'm like, whatever. But this is one of those questions that, I'm just letting you all know that I'm coming from that perspective, because the NFT collection is coming out, and it has been something that I've been thinking about doing. It just doesn't look so nice when you put it on the side, it's like a little tilted off course and stuff. But going to Google and looking up every single one of the quotes and seeing if it comes up as somebody's, intellectual property in some capacity, so I mean, there's definitely a fine line, obviously, when it comes to like expressions and language. Right. And I think that ultimately, when it's one line versus like plagiarism or taking a chunk out of it, and like you guys said, like 30 seconds of a song versus whatever. But one of the interesting things is like when we're going through later on, the sort of different parameters where you can NFT, or you can make an NFT and decide, there's a variety of different ways, whether it's completely available or whether you have to cite the author or whether or not you cannot use it at all. So it really depends on the original creator and where they sort of stood on their their gifting to the world of their intellectual property.
Right. And
Okay.
people can think of it this way, right? We all grew up watching VHSs, I hope, or DVDs where that big sign says, warning, any copyright infringement might, 250,000 fine or you go to jail, right? Like, because you bought the movie doesn't mean now you have the right to then go take it, make copies and sell it, right? Well, this was a big conversation when NFTs first came out. So like a creator who creates like an art piece, puts it as an NFT and sells it to you, does that mean then you have the right to take their work and make money off of it? You know what I mean? So like, that's actually up to the creator. The creator might go, I don't care what you do with it, make money with it, don't, or the creator might go, no, you can buy it, you can have it, but it's still
You
mine.
can't make any money off of it.
It's just like so Dip a Toe, our intro songs. So there's two of them. I searched around for free to use, and all I have to do is to be very diligent about citing who the writers are, that they allow you to use it. But now, if you were to try to take that song and change it and monetize it, they would have a problem with that, right? Because they're freely giving that music for people to use for free. They don't expect that you're going to turn around and recreate it in some way and make money off of it. And so this is very important as we progress in this space. It's very important to start thinking about these kind of things, or we should have already been thinking about them, and many people have, right? But let's face it, we're quick studying all of this as we are trying. We're learning how to even create an NFT, and then you throw in, the copyright issues stuff of it. So, do you want to you want to go a little bit further into the Creative Commons license overview that you found, Apti? Now, what you sent me, there's two things. One, I pulled up XRP Cafe because a lot of people do create tokens and NFTs on XRP Cafe. And if people go to xrp.cafe/terms, number 7 of their terms actually addresses intellectual property rights. But Abdi, you sent something that broke it down, where it explained each one, and I kind of copied it, and I thought I could put it up there so you could read it and go over it. Or how do we want to do this, guys?
Yeah, I can give you the overview of what I have. And then, I just put it in point form because I can't flip between my windows. So I wrote it by hand. So we could just go through each one. I think we should go through each one and discuss it. And then, I could give you the quick overview and then we could get into each one more detailed, or we could go through one each at a time and discuss it. What do you think?
I think going over one at a time actually is probably good. And what I can do is try and bring up just so they can follow along, because you're going to go over the. You're going to go over.
I'll read the names of each one of them so that you have sort of context, and then from there we'll break down each one. So when you're making how I know this is when you're making an NFT, at the bottom of the screen, it says like, what copyright do you want this image to fall under? This is how I got into this conversation in the first place. So there is a choice of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they include CCO, which is the Creative Commons. Then there's CC-BY. Then there's CC-BY-SA. Then there's CC-BY-NC. And then CC-BY-NCSA, CC-BY-ND, and finally CC-BY-NCND. So each one is an acronym So the acronyms are CC would be like the public domain, and then each one sort of defines whether or not it, what you need from it. So BY is attribution, SA is share alike, NC is non-commercial, and ND is no derivatives, only original.
Can we break this down real quick? Because I have it pulled up with what you're talking about.
Perfect.
So the Creative Commons license provides a standardized way for creators to grant public permissions to use their copyrighted work while retaining some rights. They're commonly used on platforms like XRP Cafe, yada, yada, yada. So by the BY, the attribution, that means you must credit the creator providing link to the license and indicate if changes were made. That's what attribution means. Hopefully I
Can I just add, like if anybody's ever bought a photo off those like photo sites or things of those nature, they generally have those they generally list those licenses there. Like you can take it and use it without credit, or you can take it and use it, but give me credit. So this like all goes along with what we already see in Web 2. So I think it's very interesting that XRP Cafe has put this on there for people to choose. I've never noticed it in purchasing an NFT. I wonder if it's in the metadata.
It definitely is.
It should be, right? It should be if it's that, right? Wouldn't you say, Rapti?
Oh yeah, it's definitely in the metadata. And for those of you who don't know, like at XRP Cafe, if there's a description and you can't read the rest of it, or like if you're on your phone and the oh my gosh, I just lost the word. Oh my gosh, it's like attributes. It's not attributes. I just lost the word. Anyways, I'll find it in a sec. Pardon?
Traits.
Yes, thank you. The traits will be cut off and you don't know the word. You can just click on the metadata. There's 2 different buttons and the entire file will come up for you so that you can read it there. And then it's absolutely listed in there. And I'm pretty sure I haven't minted an NFT by coding it yet. But I'm pretty sure like it's actually a space in the coding that while you're doing that, you have to define it so that, there's probably I'm assuming there's a default on the CCO. But I think that, it's one of those things like you have to define when you're making it. So with that, why don't we go through each one separately? So we start off with CCO and then we'll go up from there.
Yes. And I'm wondering, guys, if, where did my thing go? I was wondering if I should have, is it easier to read if I just leave it white? Is it easier? Is it easier for everybody? Oh, that's a little bright. Could I do that? Is that better for you guys to see it? Hopefully. I was trying to make it a little bit better for people to be able to see it. Okay. All right. So we did the by attribute. Oh, you little brat. We did the by attribution. I screwed. Guys, sorry. I'm trying to make it big for you. And I keep screwing up when I'm moving it over there for you to see, or for me to read. Okay. So
why don't we start at CCO, Melissa, because each one, when you're reading these, each one is like a full definition. And so that just, there's nothing to really talk about after you give the full definition. So do you want to start with the CCO and then we'll move up from there?
Well, the CCO is what I read, that it provides a standardized way for creators to grant public permission to use their copyrighted work while retaining some rights. And they're commonly used on platforms like the XRP Cafe. And all CC licenses require attribution, the by, to the original creator unless otherwise noted. And they build on 4 core conditions. And so those 4 conditions are the by, which you talked about, the attribution, where you must credit the creator. You got to provide a link to the license and indicate if changes were made. And then there's the essay, which that's the share alike, right? So like we were talking about earlier, if you remix or adapt the work, your derivative must be shared under the same license terms. Anybody want to take another one? The NC, the non-commercial?
The NC is non-commercial. You can't use the work for commercial purposes, e.g., selling copies or using in ads. I think a lot of people try to do that. I don't know about you, but I think a lot of people do tend up doing that, thinking that they can utilize it or use a snippet of it and think that that's going to be okay.
Yeah. And then we have the ND, the no derivatives, which means you can only share the work in its original unmodified form. And so Abdi, the CCO refers to CCO, not a license, but a public domain tool. The CC-BY-NC-SS appears to be a likely typo. This little note is never mind. It is the CC-BY-NC-ND in the share alike. The SS is actually a share alike version anyway. So anybody want to take the CCO public domain dedication?
A
Kristen, why don't you
tool
go ahead?
for creators to waive all copyright and related rights in their work to the fullest extent allowed by law, placing it squarely in the public domain. No attribution is required, and it allows unrestricted use, modification, distribution, and commercial exploration worldwide. Use this when you want to fully relinquish control and maximize reuse, like basically for data sets or images meant for open collaborations.
All right. What next? So guys, I mean, I know this sounds like boring stuff, but if anybody has any questions and where we can kind of dive into it a little bit more, because we are just trying to learn this stuff ourselves too. But I don't know how many of you like look at this kind of stuff when you're doing it and you're just like, oh, click, 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 because you don't really understand what it means and you just want to get stuff done. But the CC-BY, that's the attribution, right? And what does that allow people to be able to do? Anyone want to?
It allows others to distribute, remix, adapt, and build upon the work, even commercially, in any medium or format, as long as they credit the creator. This is the most permissive CC license, ideal for creators who want broad sharing and innovation without restrictions or derivatives or profit.
So I'm wondering if you guys are interpreting it this way. So like Abdi, when you created your NFTs and like you said, you're in XRP Cafe and there's all these choices. If you choose then the CC-BY, that means that you as the creator of your work, you're going to allow others to distribute it, remix it, adapt it, build upon it in any medium, as long as they credit you that this came from Optimistic Prime, but they can take and run with what you've created. Is that the way that you're understanding this?
I am. I have a little bit of a confusion between BY and BY-SA, because now maybe we can figure it out together here. I'm pretty sure it's we'll talk about it, but I typically choose CC-BY or CC-BY-SA. So typically when I started the Wandering Footprint, I thought, okay, how do I make this change the world? And like, obviously I don't control it. But let the world know who made it in the first place, please. That was sort of my perspective. It's like, just give me credit. Just let somebody know that I exist. Otherwise, you can do whatever you want to, because I want everything that I create to be shared. And obviously, the definition was, if it's in the public domain, it allows it to be shared the most. So really finding the balance between how restricted you want people to be on their capacity to share your information or your artistry or things like that. So that's really the debate for me. And so yes, and to answer your question, yeah, like what I the list the notes I had was must credit creator, you must provide a link to the license, and if any changes are to be made, you must indicate the changes when you if it's not the original. And yeah.
Marvin Davis, let's call Mr. Quincy Jones. Shout him out. Tell him to get in here. We'll send you a link.
Right?
I know, right?
Let's get Quincy Jones in here.
And so for those that didn't hear what the meaning or what the actual definition of the CC BY SA is, it's the same as CC BY, but any adaptations or remixes must be shared under the same license terms or a compatible one. This promotes a viral open ecosystem like Wikipedia, where derivatives stay open. Use it for collaborative projects where you want to ensure downstream works remain freely shareable, just like what Opti was saying.
So what I understand of that is if it's remixed, you allow it to be shared. Like, so essentially it's like you have to be credited, but you're also not in control of like once it's shifted, you know, like once it's changed. But I don't know if you understand, because it is confusing between those two.
Well, see, the thing is if you're remixing it, right, you now have it really then becomes your intellectual your intellectual property, because at that point it's from your thought processes how it's remixed. Like you may utilize something, but it's your thought process of how it's remixed. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if you think about what happened with singer Ed Sheeran, right? He was taken to court because the family of singer Marvin Gaye, they said that he used a song. No, it wasn't Marvin Gaye. It was Stevie Wonder. It was a Stevie Wonder song. And they thought that he had utilized a Stevie Wonder song. And because of that, they took him to court. He won. He won that case. And the reason that he won that case is because he actually brought his guitar into the courtroom and showed how he came up with the song that he wrote. Okay. Now, there are sometimes some people would say, okay, well, there's a certain interpolation of that particular song that makes it sound much like the Stevie Wonder song that they were referencing, right? But at the same time, that happens across the board. Like there's all kinds of songs that have a certain bass line, but just because it's a bass line doesn't mean that it has to be copywritten. It just means that it's a bass line. You know what I mean? It's a rhythm line.
So, so what I just got out of this, in correct me if I'm wrong, but the CC-BY, the attribution, so when somebody creates something and they create it and they give the CC-BY that allows others to distribute, remix, adapt, and build upon the work, even commercially in any medium, any format, as long as they credit the creator, right? Cool. There's a permissive copyright. What did we call it? What's the CC thing called again?
CC
Yeah. So, but the CC by SA, the share alike. So if I take something that someone else created and they said, sure, it's CC BY, you can use it. Now I've created it. It says same as CC BY, but any adaptations or remixes must be shared under the same license terms or comparable one. Meaning, if you built upon somebody else's thing that had a CC BY, you can't all of a sudden make it, nope, nobody else can use this now because you built upon it. It has to be the SA, the share alike, right? Is that what you guys are getting from this?
Yes, I get that. Yeah.
And what I would add to that is that if it would be if it was built on the same one, then you would have to credit me as well as the remixer.
That makes sense.
So you'd have to credit both people who contributed to the whatever product or whatever intellectual property you're sharing in the end.
And that makes total sense. It's just like in the event that somebody was writing a book and then someone did an afterword, right? Somebody else wrote the afterword for the book. You know what I'm saying? You do definitely have to give credit to both, right? The writer of the original book, and then also who wrote that particular afterword, because, you know, they obviously have the permission to be in the book or to be able to write that afterward and it be there, but they all should be credited for that work as well.
Mm. Mm. Lady K, do you have any additional commentary on this particular set of rules?
You know what I'm thinking? How many times have you heard someone say like, I started a business and I named it and then I didn't realize like this person had a name or whatever, right? If these NFTs are being created by artists and they can be traded peer to peer and you get one, and like, I think it's very cool that platforms would build this kind of thing inside it so that you can see what the licensing is, right? Because if you can't, you can end up in like, how do you know what that creator wanted? And then if you violate it, you know what I mean? And so also I can very much see, like, a lot of people don't know, like, the California bear is actually not it's not trademarked. You know what I mean? But like, who knows that, right? So like, if these things are on a public blockchain and people can look it up, I think it can be very helpful for people to understand the rules, because part of it is just not even knowing.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm actually right now in the process of doing a trademark, right? So if I'm in the process of doing a trademark, you know, now I really am paying attention to these rules. I'm really paying attention to, you know, how things can be used, who can use, just even the color, you know, the color that's in, you know, going to be in my trademark. That's like, all of these things are important to really understand. And I think a lot of times people don't even think about these things, like even when they're like making clothes and, you know, and utilizing some type of a brand that they may not necessarily realize that they shouldn't be using in that way. You know, so I think it's really important to kind of understand this for sure.
Let's move on to the CC by NC, the attribution non-commercial, which allows distribution, remixing, adaptation, building upon the work in any medium or format, but only for non-commercial purposes. With attribution required, commercial uses, for example, products for sale are prohibited, suitable for educational or personal content, where you want free nonprofit sharing but protect against business exploitation, which I think well, number one, this kind of rings true maybe for like the music that I'm using. Like, they allow it for distribution and all of that, but they don't want you using it commercially. Like, I can't take the song and go out and redo it and start using it in a commercial for a product or whatever, right? Or even, I wonder if this falls in line with like Ryan, you know, he's able to use the Creative Commons for school. Like, he can go and get stuff off the internet to present, but they're real funny about that. You got to make sure that you're using the right stuff for, you know, his lectures so that he doesn't get in trouble, you know, for that. And the universities do a really good job of kind of like, you know, letting you know what you can and cannot use and all of that kind of stuff. But those of us that are out there kind of like, you know, freewheeling around, we don't know this stuff as much as those people that do it every day. So any further commentary on the non-commercial aspect?
Well, just commentary on what you were just saying. You know, because this is YouTube, and like, while it's not monetized right now, hopefully, you know, well, it is sort of monetized because you have a couple subscribers and you get your, you know, your thumbs up, super chats from time to time from beautiful humans. So in terms of, you know, the songs that made on Suno, would that, you know, like, I mean, you've been talking to Niall about this, because like, one of the questions that, you know, I've been trying to figure out an ad, right, for IMU TV for my projects. And
Create
this
your
was
own song
always
in Suno.
yeah. So, but that's still considered commercial. So you were referring to like you thought that this is what it was listed under, but I am actually curious what it's
No, I'm
actually
saying
listed under.
no. I'm saying Suno. A Suno is like you're creating your own song. You have a subscription that you're paying, a premium subscription, which gives you the rights to what you create. You're the creator of that song. You can choose to allow other people to remix it and all of that kind of stuff, or you can choose not to. That you can. You are okay to monetize that particular what you create. If you have a free account in Suno, no,
Yes, so
can't
much.
use that. Can't do it. You can't use the free account. As long as you created that song and at that time you created. And here's the other thing: you can't create a song in the free version and then buy a subscription after the fact. It doesn't retroactively go back. So you got to have the premium, create your song, then you're all good, and you won't have issues with it. As far as I know.
Now,
MM says, oh, sorry. MM is saying, am I missing something? Does not copyright not cover this? All rights reserved use is with permission only.
yeah, so that's actually what we're discussing, is that actually you can choose to say you can use my work, but you have to give me credit, or you can use my work, but you can't monetize off of it. So there's actually tiers to this, if you want to call it that, and that's what we're going over.
Yep. And I will mention, ladies, I can't believe it, but it's 9:46, and
Oh my
we're
goodness.
like, so we've got like a couple more of these to get through. I can't even believe it. We talked about this earlier about having a series on this because we knew we were not going to get through it in 1 hour.
Yeah.
It looks like we were right. As usual, we were correct. So you guys, you want to like kind of speed through the rest of these and then go to final thoughts?
Yeah, and also thank you to the 358 people that are in the room right now. We are so excited to have you here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So does anybody want to read these last few ones? There's the CC by NCSA, not attribution, non-commercial, share alike. Anybody want to read that one?
Sure, I'll do that one. Combines CCBYNC with share alike. Adaptations are allowed for non-commercial use only, must credit the creator, and any derivatives must use the same license. This is great for nonprofit Creative Commons, where you want to encourage remixing but keep it non-commercial and openly licensed. Interesting.
So that would just be like, hey, Opti created a song, we all love it. She wants everybody to be able to remix it up as much, but the rules are nobody gets to use it for commercial use of any kind, right?
Yeah.
Does that sum it up pretty accurately?
And no remixes can be used for commercial purposes as well. So it makes a default down the line.
Makes sense.
So that basically if you think of something like a DARE program and they used a song for something for kids at a school, like that would be something that they would be able to do and not infringe upon anybody's rights, I feel like.
CC by ND. Anyone want to take that one?
Lady K, why don't you do it? I can't read his tiny little screen.
Oh, I know I need to get my glasses too. The most restrictive CC license allows only verbatim sharing of the original work for non-commercial purposes with attribution. No adaptations, remixing, or commercial use. Use this for sensitive content like opinion pieces where you want wide nonprofit distribution, but full control over changes and monetization.
The most restrictive allows only verbatim sharing. Okay. Non-commercial purposes only, no adaptation. Okay. We skipped over the CCBYND, the attribution, no derivatives. That allows redistribution and sharing of the original work in any medium or format, including commercially, but only in unmodified form with attribution, no remixing, adaptations, or building upon it. Ideal for protecting the integrity of works like articles or photos you don't want altered. So that which we don't have time to talk about, unfortunately. we got like 10 minutes. But this is where you have people creating NFTs from photos that are already out there in the public. Now, whether those photos are already protected or they're not, like, I don't know because I'm not a photographer, but I assume people that have these, like, anytime you go like Getty photos, right? Like they always have Gettys on there to like let everybody know, like, hey, these are our photos. So like if you try to use one of their photos without their permission and they catch you, you're probably going to get in trouble, right? Especially if you end up making money from using that photo, or you changed or altered it in any way. And there's a whole lot of that going on, particularly with AI now. People taking photos and making videos from them and altering them and creating NFTs and all of these things. And so that sounds like a no-no unless you get express permission. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that could open up a can of worms for that person that's using it. I think that's definitely can become an issue. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And here's the thing: there are some times when they're used like that, and no one says anything. But it's just going to be that person that's froggy enough to say something about it. It's going to be a problem. And what then can that person say? You didn't ask. You didn't. So it just, I don't know. It's just if you didn't make it, you didn't create it. Don't use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, projects, you should look into whether projects have a license, right? Schmeckles got approval to use that image. There was a POG project on Ethereum where they got official use of POGs, but they got use of anything new. They could create it new under the POG, but not use any of the old, right? So, you got to know look into what people have set up.
And I remember that when we interviewed James from Schmeckles, it's James, right? Is that his first name? Yeah. When we interviewed him on Dip a Toe, that was one of my first questions. Because he is such a force in the XRP ledger space. He's so popular and so dynamic, and it was like, how the heck is he being able to do this? This is so cool, And I think for those that don't think about it, they have the misconception that he just went all willy-nilly, but no, he didn't. He went out there, he went right to the creators, and he got the permission that he needed to do. And, a lot of these other folks could be doing the same thing. And I would just say, like, that is where when you go to the XRP, and I'm just going to post the link in, the StreamYard, the xrp.cafe/terms. If you look at number 7, the intellectual property rights, because they say you are solely responsible for your use of the service and for any information you provide, including compliance with applicable laws, rules, and regulations, as well as terms, including user conduct requires that are above. But in any event, it kind of goes through the whole thing about whether they will take down works in response to Digital Millennium Copyright Act, take down notices, other intellectual property infringement claims. They'll terminate the user service. And so really, guys, the concern for the creator of these things. Make sure you're doing your due diligence. You're learning about what you're supposed to be doing when you're creating these NFTs or music or any of the stuff that you're doing, but also the end user, the buyer of these things. Because my thoughts on it is like Celsius, for example. While it's not exactly the same thing, my money got tied up in Celsius because they had a lawsuit come against them. They couldn't or the link to thing, all these things. You put your money in it and it gets locked up. If you put your money into something that may be uncertain as to whether or not this person is going to be allowed to continue selling, this particular NFT or music, excuse me, music NFT or whatever, you might just be trapped with it. And you might love it and it's not a big deal, but you might not be able to ever sell that NFT unless you're doing it kind of off the market, right? Like peer-to-peer kind of trading type of thing. So just be thoughtful, mindful of these types of things as we navigate this space. And anyone else have any final thoughts? Because we have 5 minutes left and this has been a fantastic show and you guys are awesome.
I was going to say, this definitely, I've thought about this the whole time about AI. And people using AI. When I first started, I was using, things like Bing and stuff. And so I read their terms of service when I was originally, trying to create the Blue Umbrella token and stuff. And there are a lot of limitations on using Bing. So I stopped using it. You're not they still in the fine print retain all the rights to those images. And so I have really wondered about, a lot of the NFT communities that are making money off an AI. And that's one of the reasons why I really love Meme Deck. I can send you my affiliate link, or if any of you guys have it, but you do retain your rights, which is amazing. So that if you want to what I'm using it for right now is trying to figure out my illustrations for my book. And so, things like that, you want to make sure that you ain't going to get dinged by a giant corporation with billions of dollars for using their intellectual property, even though you're the promptee, you put in your prompts and it's from your head and you're looking for the image in your head. It's still their technology. So just definitely be aware. Thanks so much for this conversation. I'm so glad we ended up having this random conversation earlier today. Hope Jenna's doing okay. Sorry that she canceled. But I think we brought it this evening and looking forward to talking to everybody in the space afterwards.
Fantastic. Lady K?
It was a great show. We were going to do this next week and be more prepared. And I think we still had a great conversation. I love talking to you guys. Let's go to the after space.
Kita.
Oh my goodness. So much great information came out this evening. And I think for those of us that are creating on this digital asset space, as well as on Web3, I think it's really important for us to kind of understand these rules and how, to keep ourselves out of trouble. So I'm thankful that we were able to have this type of a conversation today with all of the people that are here, the 404 people that are watching this show. I have to tell you, it is such an honor to be here with you ladies, seriously, just having, I know I've said it before, just having conversation amongst friends and then having our audience here with us that we can interact with. So thank you all for being here. We appreciate you. We will definitely be back next week. And don't forget the after space at 10:10 this evening. Come on in there and hang out with us and have a chat. And thank you for coming to Digital Ladies Unscripted.
I love you guys. Yes, thank you. I posted the link to the after chat. It's also posted under the stream on the Dip a Toe show on X and under my World Be Free account. That's live stream too. I will post the link in the YouTube chat. If you're not subscribed to Dip a Toe show on YouTube, please do it. Help us grow our channel. Easy peasy. Shout out to TextRP. Thank you for supporting the channel. We love you guys. Have a good rest of your day and join us in that after space. See you next week, Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Bye, guys.
Digital ladies breaking the chain, rising in crypto, we're changing the game. Crypto frontier, we're claiming our space. Not your keys, not your crypto, know your place. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa Key, the Lady K, and Opti. Dip a toe, come ride this wave. Digital wealth, we're here to pay.
Crypto nights, we're lighting a spark. As we ignite now, we're setting the mark.
Safety first, we're keeping it tight.